people can phone us up, or they can use our website or send us emails. So we offer the same level of advice that Citizens Advice Bureau do, but we don't do casework. So whereas you can go to a CAB and they'll write the letters for you, they'll come to the court hearings with you if you want, and all that kind of thing. Here we'll give you the advice over the phone, and we have sample letters that you can use, all that kind of thing. But the idea is if you give people the information, most people can sort of deal with it themselves. So that's basically where we differ from Citizens Advice Bureau, but we are a registered charity as well. So whether it's mortgage arrears, council tax, catalogues, child maintenance, magistrate court fines, parking penalties, whatever the type of debt it is, we can give you advice on how to deal with it. And all of that information is also on the website. So we've got a library of fact sheets, as I said, all different types of debts, and all of the sample letters are on there as well. So whether it's offering token payments or asking for a copy of your credit agreement, everything's on there. Credit debts has always been the most popular type of debt, so credit cards, personal loans, that kind of unsecured debt. But there is a rise, there's a definite rise in people with mortgage arrears and secured loan arrears of about 30% compared to last year. So yes, as people are sort of coming off fixed rate mortgages, or maybe they've lost their job, there have been lots of wide-scale redundancies that have been announced, and all of this has a knock-on effect. People as well that have remortgaged because of the rise in house prices, people feeling quite asset rich and thinking, oh, well, I've got £50,000 worth of equity, why don't I release it, get another secured loan, consolidate all my credit debts. And now obviously all the house prices are coming down, and obviously if you secure your debts against your property, those debts haven't disappeared, you've just got another secured loan to pay now. And if you can't afford to keep up with those loan payments, your property is going to be at risk.
Have you noticed, or do you know whether or not there's been a swing in more people calling the business debt line, or is it more callers with personal debt problems?
There's definitely been a massive increase in people calling business debt line. I mean, it's often said that small businesses are the barometer of the economy, and when things start to go wrong, it's small businesses that really feel the effect of it. And we have seen an increase in people calling business debt line with trade shortfall as their problem, which obviously means, sort of hairdressers, driving instructors, that kind of thing, because obviously households across the UK, when we start tightening our belt, those are the first things that we start cutting out, so they really feel the effect of it. But just to give you a comparison, I mean, sort of last year, October, November time, we were probably having about sort of 300, 400 calls a week to business debt line. That's gone up to touching the 2,000 mark.
Really?
So it really has increased dramatically.
Good afternoon, National Debtline Agency. How can we help?
Because I can imagine there'll be people who will phone the deadline who probably, the situation's got quite critical, they're quite emotional about it. I know from personal experience, I've been in a lot of debt up to my eyes before, and you shy away from it, you hide away from it for quite a few months, and then when you face it you think, God, I've got to sort this out. And so in what way are the advisors kind of prepared to handle those kind of calls where people are probably quite distraught on the end of the phone?
I mean, the advisors have had some training about sort of suicidal callers, which we do have sometimes, and how to deal with that. But we're not sort of trained to deal with the sort of counselling and the emotional aspects. I mean, what we do is quite often that we'll talk to people who are depressed, who have got mental health problems that are often brought on by the stress of being in debt, or they've been exacerbated by the fact that they're in debt. So that would be sort of, obviously, the way that you deal with them is very sympathetically and sensitively, but it would be more signposting maybe to their GP or other support centres that can deal with that aspect of being in debt. And National Debtline, it's more about the practicalities. You've got a county court hearing, you've got a repossession hearing, these are the forms that you need to fill in, this is what you can argue, these are your defences, this is what you can say. And obviously, I mean, sometimes it's really difficult when I work as a debt advisor as well as doing the press work. Sometimes it's really difficult because sometimes somebody will phone up and they are really distraught and they're really, really upset. So in those circumstances, you're very limited with what you can actually tell them, because you know that I can give them all the advice, but they're not going to take it in because they're too overwhelmed. So sometimes you've just got to give people the bare bones, but it's more about saying, look, it's not as bad as you think it is. You will have options. You know, phone us back when you feel able, you know, to go through everything. But if you're feeling this bad, and you know, if you are thinking of, you know, hurting yourself or whatever, it's important that you talk to somebody about how you're feeling. So, you know, maybe go and see your GP or something like that.
National Debtline are recruiting at the moment. Just tell me more about how that came about.
Yeah, well, the Treasury announced a couple of weeks ago in their pre-budget report they're giving us just over 5 million, and obviously this is the government's way of trying to minimise the impact of the you know, the impact that the recession is going to have on lots of people. So obviously the government are doing their thing with the pre-action protocol and asking lenders to wait 3 months before they take repossession action, and some waiting 6 months, and all the different things that they're doing. And one of them is obviously that there's going to be a massive demand for debt advice. So yeah, we're going to take on up to 50 more debt advisors. The closing date for applications will be the 19th of January, and the start date will be, hopefully, they'll be staggered, but the first start date will be in April. So yes, so as I say, you know, we offer full training programs. You don't need any experience, you don't need any debt experience or debt knowledge, just a commitment to giving quality, independent advice.